A lot of people have chalked my success as an esports athlete to me being a woman, while discounting the fact that I have had to work twice as hard as my male counterparts.
There's, I think, sometimes an attitude that sports is just a recreational or an amateur activity.
Muslim women, you know, we're meant to be covered, we're meant to be modest and all that. Our society and our culture does not automatically accept our participation in physical activities.
You start to see the disparity between men and women coverage, like in the media.
Women having muscles, some communities will view it like, are you trying to be masculine? Just because they don't understand. Because look, do I look like a man?
What first got me into gaming was through the influence of my older brother and my cousin. They were huge gamers and they still are. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world that they were playing video games and how immersed they got into those worlds. And since I used to follow them around, I started playing the same games that they would. But the pivotal moment that informed my decision for me pursuing a professional career as an esports athlete was the very first Mortal Kombat tournament I participated in undergrad when I was studying law at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. I came in 4th place and I decided that I'm going to try my hand at pursuing this full-time.
And Beatrice Chebet of Kenya takes it to the line. It's gold and silver for Kenya.
Kwa majina naitwa Beatrice Chebet, being the first athlete to win gold in 5,000 and 10,000 kwa Kenya. Kwa nakimbia nikiwa shule, nilikuwa naenda school games mpaka regional mostly. Then shosho wangu akakubali na akasema nitakupeleka, akanipeleka kwa camp, coach akanikaribisha. Then we come 2018 on June that year, nika qualify under 20 championship, ilikuwa inafanyika Tampere, Finland. Kwa naenda kukimbia 5,000. That was my first gold medal. Then 2024 sasa nikafungua pia cross country Belgrade, kaleta gold. Hiyo ilikuwa gold yangu ya 3 kwa world cross country. And then tukaenda sasa Paris for Olympics. Ilikuwa Olympic yangu ya kwanza na ilikuwa mara yangu kudouble 5,000 and 10,000. Kufika Paris nikapata both gold medal, being the first athlete to win gold in 5,000 and 10,000 kwa Kenya. More so being the first athlete to win a gold medal kwa 10,000. Kenya have never won a 10,000 gold medal. Nikaona at least nimejenga profile yangu na pia kumake history to my country. The same year nikafunga na Diamond League trophy and nikafunga na 5K world record road again Barcelona, ya mix both men and women. So nikakimbia the first woman to run sub 14, nikakimbia 13:54.
I've always been in love with sports. I wouldn't say I was a sports person, but I grew up with that love and passion for sports. And of course now I've always wanted to be a lawyer, so as I was pursuing that as an education pathway and as a career pathway, I also got to know about the field of specialization in sports law, and for me that was just a natural selection to my specialization area, so I decided to take that on as a career path. Yeah.
For almost 10 years I worked in a bank, and I actually did enjoy what I was doing in the bank. However, at some point I left the bank to be able to start business. Also, the other thing is that I had gone through a season where I had cysts that took me through surgery, and when I came back from surgery 1 month later, I got a reoccurrence of the cysts. So that really scared me. I went into study about women, hormones, cysts, fibroids and stuff, to be able not just to help them, but to help myself. I needed to save myself. When I was able to execute or use the information that I had gathered, I now started helping other women, and before I knew it, business grew.
My name is Sandra Kimokoti. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Twende Sports. We started Twende Sports in January 2023, and then in August of that year, we acquired Nairobi City Thunder, and we made it a fully professional basketball team. About a year later, July 2024, we won the Men's Premier League undefeated. It was the team's first trophy in 24 years. And then December, we became the first Kenyan team to qualify for BL. So this year, April to June, we'll be competing in the BL.
I started running 10 years ago, and I started running because a friend of mine back then was training for an Ironman. I decided that I was going to pick up one of the 3 sports to try hang out, right? So I tried running, it was okay. I had just done my 10th marathon, which was the Boston Marathon, which is really, really cool. But when I finished Boston, I felt that like I had achieved something great, and then there was a flatness afterwards, right? Because I had like been so looking forward to run Boston, and then it had happened, and so what next? And so I announced on my Instagram one day that starting this Saturday, I will stand somewhere, and if you want a running partner, I'll be there. So that's how We Run Nairobi started.
We are now joined by Lynne Wachira, who is live at the Muthaiga Golf Club.
I love all sports. I'm an all-rounded sports journalist. Like, I'm going to report about each and every sport. I love being at the stadium to watch and cover like each and every sport. However, for athletics, it's an affair. What really attracted me to the sport, first of all, is understanding the history. But I also think part of it was played out because when I was on internship at KBC, the 2008 Olympics were on. So by the time I was done with school and got to the newsroom, it was clear where my interest was. It was obviously athletics. That was a love affair, and then everything else.
My passion for fitness started at a very young age. I think I was in class 2. Around then, I discovered that I loved moving. From moving, it went into running. I had a lot of energy growing up, and I found it settled me. When I exercise, I have better focus, I achieve more, and I center myself. How did I turn this into a career or a business? I studied in Canada. I was studying law, and I knew from the beginning I wanted to do fitness. Unfortunately, that wasn't encouraged back then, but I went away. I gained the freshman 10. I don't know if you've had that. The first time you go into university, you eat, being in a foreign country without parents' supervision. That happened to me. So the first thing I did after I noticed that was to join a gym. And again, the same feeling that I had as a child came back. I felt more settled. So doing that, I went in, I competed into my first bodybuilding competition. I was 19 then. It gave me discipline. I thrive on discipline and order. And just doing that repetitively, exercising, eating better, doing that, I knew this is what I want to do. I took the course to study how to become a trainer, and here I am now.
Yes, there's challenges trying to make a name for yourself in a very male-dominated field, and this is usually fueled by the idea that this is the preserve of men, not women should quote-unquote know their place. A lot of people have chalked my success as an esports athlete to me being a woman, while discounting the fact that I have had to work twice as hard as my male counterparts.
I think for a woman who's a CEO in a business, you feel the weight because you're trying to juggle 3 different versions of yourself. And perhaps, again, you want to validate yourself. So you have to show up stronger, different, earlier, just to ensure that you're doing things correct.
Mtu akienda maternity leave, asipopata that support ya kuchungwa pia, hadi arudi back vizuri, inakuanga ngumu sana kwa watu kurudi back.
There's underinvestment in sports, and there's, I think, sometimes an attitude that sports is just a recreational or an amateur activity and not really a view of this is actually a commercial enterprise. So I think that mentality, it has been a big sort of like blocker in the ecosystem.
There's already that societal perception that sports is not for women and girls. And then when you go down again and look at women coming from a certain society like myself, where Muslim women, we're meant to be covered, we're meant to be modest and all that, our society and our culture does not automatically accept our participation in physical activities.
Women having muscles, some communities will view it like, oh, are you trying to be masculine? Just because they don't understand. Because look, do I look like a man? I look like a lady, but with muscle, right?
You start to see the disparity between men and women coverage, like in the media. You start to see the language. You start to see how women athletes are covered, the focus on them and their bodies as opposed to athleticism. There's a lot of sexism when it comes to female athletes. Yeah, so it starts to get to you, it starts to bother you. And so what you end up doing is now you are intentionally ensuring that women's sports are being covered. On the desk, when there's, when you're thinking about the bulleting.
Most people are excusing themselves from making a change because they don't have a community of people who can guide them in that. Perhaps for me, it's, again, I want to launch a new product. You're in banking and you're a CEO. Again, I have friends in journalism. It's just a wide network. How do we put them all together and do that? So I do have a community of women, and that's also available at Vow Wellness. So it's women from different walks of life, in different career paths, but they've all made the commitment. So our tagline is make a commitment to you.
From the very beginning, I always said that you don't have to be a runner, you don't have to have run before. We started with a very light distance. And then I really wanted to emphasize the breakfast part. You could come, you could run and go home, but I wanted it to be that, if you finish, we reserve one big table and we'll sit family style and we'll have a coffee, we'll have breakfast and we'll chit chat, right? But most importantly is that it needed to be a very, very beginner friendly space. And also it needed to always stay in Nairobi so you could get to it, right? So we're not running out of town, although out of town is beautiful, right? But it needed to be inside the city. So if you're Ubering or driving, it's just within distance.
Me being, I think, the first East African to be signed to an American esports team, it actually made me feel seen, especially knowing that Africa is considered small fry in the grand scheme of the gaming and esports scene globally. And now that the fact that an American esports scene wanted to try and help our grassroots to flourish and giving someone who wasn't even that good at the game to begin with a chance, it made me even more determined to get better at this game, to show that their faith in me wasn't misplaced.
10,000 for Paris. Ndio niseme 10,000 ni kwa sababu the first women to win a gold medal Kenya. So hakuna siku yenye mtakuja na mseme 10,000 nani aliwin. It's only Beatrice.
I think I'm very proud to be among the first 3 women commentate at an Africa Cup of Nations. And I mean the men Africa Cup of Nations, not the women like Aucon, but at the men Africa Cup of Nations for the BBC. At the 2019 edition in Egypt, in Cairo. I'm very proud that we did that, and now women know that it can be done.
I love pushing myself. Even right now I'm preparing for a championships, that's why you can see my abs are out and all that, and muscle is out. But I can tell you it's way harder because right now, age-wise, I'm mid-40s, tending to now the other, 50s and stuff. So I will push myself to the limit that I can, just for the purposes of showing other women that you can do it. Even at this point, you can still do it.
My vision for Vow Wellness is having it in all over Africa. I want it to go global. So by me hoping for it to go globally is to remind people that wellness is mindfulness, for you being mindful for you. If your body stops today, it dies with your dreams.
In the next 5 years, I do hope to be a world-class Tekken player, one of the best in Africa and even globally. Like, I essentially show that, you guys really need to get on with the program. Kenya has a strong Tekken scene and you need to acknowledge that.
What I can say to young athletes, upcoming athletes, ni you give yourself time, no hurry. Kila mtu anakuwa na time yake. Kuna time sikuwa nafikiria ndafika level yenye nimefika, but ni ile time yenye unajipa na kujua mbele na kuzuri. More so ni discipline. Without discipline, hakuna penye unaenda.
We want to be the biggest brand in African basketball. We want Nairobi City Thunder to be the biggest brand in African basketball.
We are absolutely free, and that is so at the very core of us. If anything else were to change, this would be the thing that I would insist remains the same, right?
People are going to doubt your capabilities because you're a woman coming into a sports space, a male-dominated space, so there will be questions about your abilities. So what do you do about that? Make sure that you are well-equipped, that nobody can challenge your capabilities.
It's just a matter of taking advantage of it, being vocal in what you want, being assertive, and confident enough to ask, because again, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Start from where you are. Don't wait for a Monday. Don't wait for the next month to start. Start where you are.